Welcome back to A24 Quest.
Okay. This is the second episode of A24 Quest, and today we're going to be discussing Tusk versus the Blackcoat's Daughter. Now, we both watched Blackcoat's Daughter on our own, but Josh thought it important that we watch Tusk together.
Yes.
For the second time in the quest.
Yes.
And we just finished watching
Third,
it.
actually.
Third?
Yeah, we watched Charlie Swan.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting about that movie because it's so bad.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah. So we literally just watched Tusk.
Yep, can't forget about that.
And, so, Josh, you want to talk about Tusk?
Do you ever want to watch a man stuffed into a skin suit that is shaped like a walrus?
Not really.
Well, then, I got a movie for you. It's not Tusk. Because that's exactly what Tusk is, and it is a joke that lasts for maybe a minute and a half.
And the rest is boring.
And the rest is bad, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If this movie was more about the walrus... here's the thing. I say if this movie was more about the walrus, it would be more entertaining. But that's not exactly true.
No.
Because it's a dumb premise that would definitely get old if they spent more time on it.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I didn't know this going into it.
Basically, the story of Tusk is Anthony Kiedis, played by Justin Long, goes to...
No, let's talk about how Tusk was made.
The origin of Tusk. It came
because
from...
I didn't know this.
Kevin Smith's podcast, whatever it's called.
Which I might start listening to, because at the very end of the movie, they actually play part of it. And it was funny.
I wasn't there for that because I was downstairs getting brownies for everybody. But I'll take your word for it, because there's no way I'm going to rewatch that the credits of Tusk.
That's fine. But, it was actually kind of funny. It shouldn't have left the podcast.
Exactly.
That's why we are never going to make a dumb movie here.
Exactly. Like, what if we... I'm just trying to think of what's a dumb movie idea we've had on this podcast. I can't really think of it.
We don't do dumb movie ideas.
Yeah.
Do you want to do dumb movie ideas?
I mean, I've already made a dumb movie, so...
Yeah. But it was better than Tusk.
Did you know the first draft of... I think I always tell this story. The first draft of East of Enchilada, which is the short film I made, it ended with zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think was a bad idea. And so I'm glad it didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad we didn't go that route. Mostly because we didn't have the budget for it.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And anyway, basically, Kevin Smith on his podcast, they were talking about the premise is it's like a guy that gets turned into a walrus, right? Is that basically what they say?
Yep, there's a serial killer out in the woods that is taking people and turning them into a walrus that he once loved.
Yeah. And that's exactly what the movie is. I mean...
And then they go in depth and talk about... We're going to spoil this, by the way, because we don't care.
Don't watch Tusk. Do not watch Tusk.
They go into the actual third act of the film where... The man who turned the boy into the walrus puts on his own walrus suit, and then they have to fight to the death.
And see, you know what? That scene was pretty funny in a kind of an absurd way. But the issue is, it's not enough to sustain a movie.
No.
Okay, so the plot of Tusk is like this guy, he's on a podcast, funny enough. I mean, I guess that's why he was on a podcast, because the idea originated from a podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure it was just a neat little callback.
Yeah, and this guy, he runs a podcast, and he basically, he was going to go interview the Star Wars kid, except in this universe, it's a kid with a katana rather than a fake lightsaber, and he cut his own leg off. And it turns out the kid killed himself because he was being made fun of. So he's like, well, now I'm stuck in Canada, and I have nothing to do, and he finds a note in a bathroom. and it leads him to an old man's house who he starts telling him stories about the adventures he's lived. And if this sounds stupid, it's because it is.
Yep. You're like, well, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's because it doesn't. You know, it's not that we're telling it poorly.
No, that's what happens.
It's just the truth.
And can I point out that there's a lot of moments where the effects in this movie were clearly lackluster, but this Star Wars kid scene where he cuts his own leg off is just the fakest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could do a better effect than that.
Yeah. I'm sure it was intentional to make it look bad.
You think
I do.
See, I that thought crossed my mind, but then I thought, like, why? Why would they make it intentionally look bad? Like, that's not the joke.
Well, because it would cost a lot of money to make it look good.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's stupid. Either way.
Right.
It's just dumb.
So,
on the upside...
Yeah.
There was no CGI in this film.
Except for the bad leg thing.
Bad leg thing? What?
When he cut his leg off.
Oh, well, yeah, but that was purposeful
CGI.
CGI. Like, that was very intentional.
But,
like haha, bad YouTube CGI.
But in the context of the video, like, he did cut his own leg off.
Did he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Because when they went there, they were putting flowers on a wheelchair. So the kid did cut his own leg off in the reality of the movie. So that wasn't...
Really?
That wasn't...
That was supposed to look real?
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I take back everything I said. That was the worst.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. It was supposed to look real, and, like...
Oh, my God.
It was laughable.
Okay, never mind. It's all bad. Don't.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the irony of that is the main character ends up getting his leg cut off.
Yeah,
so it's poetry.
Poetry to my ears.
Yes. But yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I want to stress just about the only entertaining actor in this movie. Well, okay, there's 1.5 entertaining actors in this movie because Justin Long is so bad that it's amazing.
Yeah, the last half with him being a walrus is probably the funniest.
Yeah, and even like earlier we were making fun of his speech mannerisms, and there's a scene where he gets drugged, and like he gets drugged over the course of like a 10-minute scene. And this is another problem with the movie. The scenes go way too long. But we'll get to that. He gets drugged, and we were joking about how, like, what if he's not drugged, and that's just how Justin Long speaks?
And that would be hilarious.
Yeah, because it's like, he's...
Whoa, my dude.
I was like, that's...
And I could totally see that being it.
Yeah, that's A+.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I might as well get back to that. It's like, I have so many thoughts about this movie, because... It's just awful. It's just so awful. There are several... Like, every scene goes on for way too long, and it's so unfunny. Like, when the movie's trying to be funny, it's so painful.
Yeah.
Like, Johnny Depp's character comes in, and Johnny Depp's character is just the worst. He's never funny.
There's one part that got me.
Yeah.
The one part is when he talked about they stitched their arms to their sides... And then, found him, and it was like a T-Rex in the Jesus Christ pose. And I'm just like, crucified T-Rex, you got me there, man. You got...
I say, and it's like, it was... There's a lot of moments that verge on almost being funny, but they ruin it with the delivery. Because when he says that, it goes on the joke goes on too long, and he, like, holds the pose for too long.
Yeah. No, and it's like, nothing hits.
And
nothing really hits.
As the movie goes on, I was thinking about it. I'm like, why is every scene so stretched out? And then I realized they don't have any material to go off of.
None.
Because this movie's about a serial killer who turns people into walruses.
I mean, if you watch it, you can see him try to jam, like, oh, there's relationship issues, but none of it's relevant at all.
It's not relevant. You don't care about it.
Yeah.
Like, what was the point of any of that?
To lengthen the movie.
Yeah, because they needed an hour and a half long movie. And see, here's the thing. The movie felt like it went on too long. So they were trying to overcompensate for the fact that they had no content to work with, and they made it too long.
Yeah.
They could have stood to cut, like, it was an hour and 40 minutes. They should have...
Yeah, they could have made this a half an hour short.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been, like...
Seriously.
It could have been, like, the minimum length
Think about this. If Justin Long, cut out everything with his two friends and Johnny Depp and all of that...
Then you wouldn't have a movie. Because that's like most of the movie.
I'm okay with a 30-minute short.
Yeah, exactly.
Of Justin Long going to a bathroom, finding this thing, going, whoa, calling
No,
up, being
yeah,
like, dude,
actually, no.
what's this all about? He goes there, and then he gets turned into a walrus, and they fight to the death, and that's the end of it.
I'm totally with you there. If you there are good parts of this movie, and if you were to cut it down to like 20, 30 minutes, it'd be an entertaining, absurd little short. I'm totally with you there.
Something great to watch on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a Kung Fury.
It doesn't work as a feature-length movie because it's
Not
just
at all.
they had to put filler in. They couldn't make the filler entertaining. Like they're clearly jokes, but the jokes don't land.
It's so bad.
We were laughing. I think I mentioned before. There's 1.5 good actors. The other real good actor is the old man because he's genuinely entertaining and generally like interesting and funny. As even when he's going crazy later on.
Because he's just nuts.
Yeah, he's just this crazy old man, and he's just fun to watch. He
just over the top across the board, which is funny.
He steals every scene he's in, and it's like he's good. It's like he's like the only person who cared when making this movie.
I don't know about
Johnny
cared,
Depp didn't.
But
Johnny Depp didn't care. He looked smashed.
I don't think
in
Johnny
every
Depp,
scene.
I don't think Johnny Depp has cared about a role in a while.
Yeah.
So.
It's been
3 years.
He looked like a combination of so wasted he didn't know what he was doing, and he just he looked dead inside.
Kevin Smith was probably like, "Hey, that'll be a good thing to add."
Yeah,
just didn't come across.
It's so weird.
Oh well.
So overall, I did not like Tusk. I wasn't expecting to like Tusk, and I liked it perhaps even less than because I had this it's like the stages of grief, right? I had this acceptance stage or this like bargaining stage where not bargaining.
Yeah, you did.
Whatever the stage where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to like this.
You had the bargaining stage though.
Okay. What was the bargaining stage?
When you came up to me and said, "Please don't make me watch this movie. I'll do anything. I'll do absolutely anything.
I'll pay you."
Yeah, and then he denied it. He's like, "Yeah, no, we're never watching that movie." And then I said, "Well, it's on A24 question." He's like, "No, we're not watching that movie." Well, he finally came to acceptance, and he was like, "We'll do it."
I was hating myself by the end of this movie because I was like, "This is so bad. This is so boring."
Yeah.
You know what though? I don't actually think it's worse than The Captive because at least this had those moments of like blinding absurdity, which I could laugh at. Like The Captive is just so flat and so boring that I just didn't care.
You remember a long time ago when I said I didn't like Kung Pao?
Yeah. This is how you felt about Kung Pao.
I think this is how I felt about Kung Pao.
Fair enough. I mean, I can
but
understand.
This is worse than Kung Pao, so don't get me wrong.
Right, yeah. I mean, like, Kung Pao... The difference is when Kung Pao tries to be funny, occasionally it does succeed.
It does.
Like,
even if it makes me face palm and cry a little inside, it succeeds.
Yeah. But this, when it tries to be funny, it's painful.
Yeah.
And it's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
So don't watch it. I think that's all we got to say on it.
Yeah, that's
like,
about
what else
it.
do you want?
Basically, we
man.
saw 2 horror movies this week, and
horror comedy and a horror drama.
Yeah, and I loved The Blackcoat's Daughter. So if we want to talk about positives, I get the feeling like you told me, you hinted a little bit at the fact that you weren't too keen on it, which I get you. That makes sense.
I liked it.
Yeah, okay. Let me explain. This movie, it feels like something from the 80s, you know, like the 70s even, like a Exorcist style old school. It actually takes a lot from the Exorcist specifically, an old school horror movie, and it's very simple, very straightforward. Well, not very straightforward. It takes some twists and turns. But the overall premise is pretty simple once you boil it down. And very effective. It was very frightening to me.
To some.
If you require, like, very blatant scares, this movie won't leave you satisfied. Because I don't want to say it really pulls punches when it comes to the scares, but it's like... everything's dulled out at, like, a much slower rate, and it's more vague.
Okay, well, let's get into it. So the Blackcoat's Daughter, there's this girl, and she's at a what is it, like a Christian
like a
boarding school?
Yeah, like a Catholic private school,
yeah.
basically.
So she's there, and her parents aren't coming. We get flashes of a car accident and a car on fire. So I'm assuming they're dead. Yeah. And then there's this other girl who's pregnant, who finds out not to be pregnant, who is also stuck there because she didn't call her parents to come and get her. Over the course of this movie, it's really hard to explain exactly because it jumps a lot.
Yeah, right. The timeline it jumps around a lot, and it only kind of makes sense near the end.
So let's talk about it in a chronological sense, knowing that these scenes are kind of interspersed.
Right. Although I don't want to spoil too much for this movie because it is one I would recommend people go see, and it's one that probably a lot of people would go see.
I don't understand. Okay, so by spoiling this movie, are you saying identifying as a vague term of, would that spoil it? So let's not.
Yeah, well, here's what I'll say. I'll go as close to spoiling it as I would feel comfortable with. This girl, there's something very, very wrong with her. She's not normal, and people die as a result.
That's way too vague, man.
Way too vague?
Way too vague.
All right, this movie's got Satanism
there you go.
in it, and
That's
people die as a result.
So
this girl is
being
possessed by a demon, essentially.
Yeah, by this shadowy Satan.
I gotta say, the way they showed... I'm not going to describe it, but the way they showed the demon was kind of cool. I liked that.
I kind of liked it, actually.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't expect them to straight up show it, and when they showed it, it's not like Insidious where it looks like Darth Maul. Yeah, it's very vague and very in shadow. You don't see detail.
Formless, one would say.
Formless. It's really cool.
Which is a good way to show
really
the paranormal.
Surreal, really otherworldly, really scary.
And subtle.
Surprisingly
subtle.
It's super unnerving. Like, every time it showed up, I was just, ugh.
So, you don't want me to say very much then, do you?
Keep it.
I'll try.
Okay. Because this is like, if you want to just turn this video, we could just do a spoiler segment because this is A24 Quest.
Okay, so let's go with this for a little bit, and then we'll do.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Basically.
So it's a pretty decent movie. My biggest complaint is that there are some spots where it's jumping around and it's kind of confusing and it doesn't track very well.
Right.
Which is unfortunate.
That was my only complaint as well. I think at the end it kind of came together and I kind of got it.
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, actually, now I'm thinking there's spoilers I want to discuss as well. But I see what you mean. It was a little. It felt like Dunkirk, but like way more disorienting.
Yeah, it was. It didn't hold itself together very well.
And there's certain scenes that just repeat. There are a couple scenes that happen a couple times.
Yeah, which I'm okay with.
Which is like it's a stylistic choice, fine.
Yeah, you know? Well, and in this case, it was to help explain the timeline in a bigger and better sense, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Another problem I had was there was a I suppose it was supposed to be a jump scare, but it didn't come across very well.
It was like a semi jump scare, and I know what you're talking about because it's the only like real.
And we'll get to that in spoilers, but that one didn't come across really well. Yeah. But overall, the actual tone of the movie was really, really good.
Oh yeah,
slow, but really, really good.
This movie is a very slow burn kind of movie. Like, it doesn't dole things out at a very fast pace.
It's 2 hours long.
There is a payoff near the end, somewhat of a payoff, which we'll also talk about. But it's like, it's more about the creepiness than it is about outright like terrifying.
Yeah,
it's just
do a good job.
If you love horror movies for like this creepy, like dread-filled atmosphere, this is a great movie. And you know me, I love those kinds of movies.
Yeah, they did a very good job with that.
Fantastic. Fun fact: this movie was written and directed by Anthony Perkins' son.
Who's Anthony Perkins?
Anthony Perkins he played Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Never mind.
This movie's written and directed by
Really?
his son. Yep.
That's kind of neat.
It's kind of cool.
Do you know anything else he's done?
No, his name's Oz Perkins, right?
That's kind of neat.
I'll check that out. But no,
that's cool. In my book.
Yeah, super cool.
Perkins?
Basically, Hopkins.
Not Perkins.
Yeah, Anthony Perkins is the psycho guy. Never mind. Anthony Hopkins.
That's why I didn't know who you were talking about. Oh, good. I like Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like this movie definitely had like the right kind of
no,
vibe.
it is Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins.
Hold on.
Who's Anthony Perkins?
Yeah, it is Anthony Perkins. It was Anthony Perkins. I was just thinking of the wrong Anthony. He's the guy from Psycho, the main character of Psycho. Not the main character of Psycho, the Norman Bates. He played Norman Bates in Psycho.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Oz Perkins was an actor, and his first role was in Psycho 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so not anything to do with Anthony Hopkins at all.
No, it's Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins, who I didn't know until just now.
A guy famous for playing a different psychopath in a horror movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Glad we cleared that one up.
Yeah, sorry. I was right with Anthony. But anyway, if we wanted to sum this up, basically, it's a solid recommendation for me. I would go as high as like 7, 8 out of 10.
I'll kick it at a 6 or a 7.
Solid, creepy horror movie.
Yeah. If you're looking for a decent horror movie, this is better than It Follows, if you ask me.
I have like conflicting opinions on It Follows. I think It Follows is a super great concept, and the execution is mostly great, but there are things that really bother me.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, it's pretty evenly good all around.
This one is kind of the same, except the things that really bothered me didn't bother me as much as they did in It Follows.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some really good things happening, but there's just a few things that aren't up to snuff for some of the movies I like.
Here's what I'll say about this movie. There are two kinds of movies in my mind, and like whether... There are movies where they don't grab me because I don't see them as like... I see them as just like I see them as products that were filmed by somebody. They cease to become like an experience in my mind. They're more like I'm just watching something that somebody filmed with a video camera, and like I think of it in that regard, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like Tusk. Tusk never felt like it. I never got immersed in Tusk because I was just like, this is just... Let's
not get immersed in Tusk.
Right, yeah. Because like I was like watching it, and every scene, it's like I was just checked out because I was like, this is clearly like this guy knows, this director, has no idea what he's doing, and it's not a very well made movie. But with The Blackcoat's Daughter, I never thought about the direction, and I never thought about the cinematography or the acting, because it was such an engrossing experience that I was just engrossed in the movie. You know, yeah. I was absorbed. So that alone, that speaks to its quality. It's not a movie I could really cynically pick apart because I just had such a good time with it.
Fair enough. You want to get into spoiler talk?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
So shut this video off now if you plan on going to see Blackcoat's Daughter, which I suggest you do.
Yeah. Going and seeing.
Well, yeah, just find a copy of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
So, basically, I think the jump scare you're referring to later on is when Kat jumps out and kills the main girl, Rose.
I think so.
Yeah.
Joan?
Rose. There's three girls. There's Rose, Joan, and Kat. Rose and Kat are the ones in the Catholic place.
Yes.
And Kat kills Rose. You're talking about when Kat just jumps out and kills Rose?
Okay, so it starts off, she's in the bathroom and she finds, oh my god, I had my period. I'm not pregnant. Thank God. And then she hears something. She's like, Kat? Kat? And then she's like, flushes the toilet, gets up, and walks out and looks around.
And that sequence is pretty creepy.
Which, sure, originally I'm just like, okay, so I could see this being creepy, and she's looking around, she's like...
Everything leading up to it was creepy. You know, I gotta say, I've like got a thing with darkness, and this movie preyed on my fear of darkness, like, very strongly. that corridor, I just felt nervous every time they were walking down the corridor because there's so many shadowy parts and you can't really see the end of it. That's just my own personal thing. Yeah. But anyway, the fact she hears the door open in the bathroom,
and then it shuts,
and then she calls out, and then there's nothing, and then it shuts again, and it's like, that's creepy because it's like you don't see what's going on.
And then she gets up, she looks around, she leaves the bathroom, she's in that creepy corridor where the lights are off on half of it, and she looks down the hallway and she opens this door and she looks, and there's a dead person lying in the corner over there. Turns around, goes, oh my god, and then she gets stabbed.
Yeah. And it's the only kind of jump scare in the movie. There's actually a part earlier on.
Cat just walks around the corner and goes, stab.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay.
I would have preferred more mind games before she gets killed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Something way more creepy would have been preferred.
It was almost a letdown. It was like a really violent. Well, it's because the music just cuts. I think. To my memory.
Yeah, it didn't...
It's a weird way to shoot just like a brutal murder.
It wasn't a great payoff. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, basically. I was like, this is the tension's ratcheting up. Like, she could be anywhere. And then just, she's dead now.
She literally just walks around the corner real fast, and that's enough to make you go, oh. Well, and then she stabs her.
I jumped a little bit because it's so sudden, but it's like I was just like, oh, well, okay, this is happening now.
And then she done got stabbed, and that was the end of her.
I just want to say, the part that freaked me out the most is when Rose finds Kat in the boiler room the first time.
That one really got where it's just like a quick she's peeking and then it's just like bowing to Satan.
Yeah, no, it's
the furnace.
It's just this. You see the furnace in this dark, decrepit room, and you see the shadow of Kat in the corner, just like flailing her head around, and
furiously bowing to the furnace.
Furiously flailing, and I was like, "This is really creepy."
Yeah,
that imagery just freaked me out. I was like, something about it. Just I was like, ugh. I stopped.
Well, at the time you have no clue it's Kat, so you're just like, what was that?
No, I knew it was Kat.
You knew it was Kat?
Yeah, of course. Because it's just those two, and like I was like,
well, there was the nuns, and she had talked about the nuns praising Satan before.
I suppose if you didn't know it was Kat, it could have been even creepier. But like something about the imagery was just disturbing.
I assumed it was Kat, but
yeah, no, I assumed it was Kat too, and it turned out to be Kat, so I just didn't really think about it. But like,
fair enough. But yeah, no, it was, overall it was pretty good, and then you find out that Joan is just Kat, but in the future.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Joan is, after Kat died, Joan is the second girl that the demon possessed to go finish the job.
I don't think Kat died.
No, Kat died.
No.
Wait.
I think she gets shot in the shoulder.
No. Kat didn't die. No, you see... No, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, what?
No, there's that scene where Kat gets exorcised, and the demon leaves her, and she's like, don't leave me, and then it leaves. And then it cuts to Joan, and you realize the demon just left and found someone else.
See, I don't
believe
Joan's
the second girl. They're played by two different actresses.
I know, but that's why I think it's stupid.
No, and I was with you there. I thought Joan was just the future version of Kat, but
see,
then
that would make sense.
The scene where the demon left, and then it turns out the demon's also in Joan, just like later on.
Okay, well let me fight my cause then, at least.
Well, I don't think you're right. I believe
that's okay.
I believe the
anyway.
implication was that the demon just found somebody else because it was shown to leave Kat.
But let me fight my cause anyway.
Okay.
Just because I want to, just to play advocate. So Kat, she goes, she decapitates 3 people. She puts them by the furnace. She praises Satan. Satan's all happy with her. A cop comes, sees her, shoots her. She wakes up in a hospital. There's a priest who does an exorcist, exorcises the demon. The demon disappears. And my theory is that she then goes to a mental hospital, and she is held there for a long, long time.
Okay.
And then she leaves the mental hospital, breaks out, and then that person gets picked up by the parents of Rose, and then that person, who is known as Joan, kills the parents, takes their heads, goes to the furnace room, puts the heads down, praises Satan again to get Satan back, but it doesn't work, and then she leaves and cries.
Okay.
That would make sense for the bullet in Joan's shoulder, which doesn't make sense otherwise.
She had a bullet in her shoulder?
She did when she got naked and she took a shower in the hotel room.
I didn't even see there's like a bullet wound.
And they're both dirty blondes.
Okay, fair enough. I guess I could see
and
that.
And that's the only reason for her character to be there, in my opinion.
I could see that, I suppose. I mean, I didn't really put it together that
way.
Maybe
you should watch it again and see if you can piece it together like that.
I took the her crying at the end to be the demon leaving her again because the job's done, and she just kind of like we see Kat was like distraught because the demon left her. So like,
do we ever see the demon with Joan?
No, I just thought it was assumed that the demon's inside.
See, I don't
Joan.
think it's with Joan because I think Joan's Kat and Kat's trying to get the demon back. And that's why when it doesn't work, she's so sad at the end.
Okay.
So maybe rewatch it and see if you can piece it together like that.
I want to like Google it to see if there's like a confirmed like interpretation of it.
Because that's what I got out of it.
That's interesting. If you're watching this, if you have seen it, or if you're watching this after you've seen it in the future, let us know what you think, because that's interesting.
Because that's one of the biggest aha moments I had was, oh, she has a bullet in her shoulder and she got shot and she's alive, therefore she is she. And that's what connected for me, at least.
Okay. Well, it seems weird to me because they're both played by different actresses of roughly the same age.
Yeah.
So that's what put me off. I thought Joan was just another victim.
I think in the beginning you're supposed to think, oh, these are two completely different people. They don't really look alike. They're kind of different. But, I mean, they have the same hair. But they're kind of the same whatever. And then eventually it kind of pieces itself together.
For a while. See, it's like for a while I took it for granted that they were the same person. And it was the ending that changed my mind.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
For a while, I thought for sure that Joan was Kat, and then at the end, when we saw the demon leaving, that's when I thought, oh, the demon just found Joan. Because, like, the demon, that specific demon just finds girls who can, like, infiltrate this Catholic. My question is, what's the importance, what's the importance of the furnace room, the boiler room in that place?
It's creepy.
Yes. It's the kind of thing that leaves questions, but in a good way, because you're like, what's the relevance of it? Like, has something happened there? Is it
brightest, creepiest orange light in the entire movie?
I guess I heard talk of like it's a metaphor for something like furnace of fires of hell or something.
That would make sense.
Yeah, maybe demons like fire.
I mean, technically, if you, sure.
I don't really get the demon's motive. Because it's like...
Hail Satan.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's what she says before she gets shot, so, yeah.
Yeah, which that scene was disturbing.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of really disturbing scenes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's a creepy movie. Very, very creepy.
Yeah. So, overall, I thought it was pretty good. I'm curious. I want you to rewatch it and see what you think. I want you to catch the bullet in the shoulder thing because otherwise that wouldn't make sense.
Okay, cool. I'll look into this because I'm curious to see which interpretation is right. Anyway, we're
they don't necessarily have to be right.
Right,
just to see what other people think is cool.
The intention is that you can look into it one of several ways, and this is a pretty open-ended kind of movie. So
yeah.
All right, we're a little past 30 minutes, which is about right. Yeah, so I was going to say, which movie won?
The Blackcoat's daughter.
Yeah, I was going to say Tusk versus the Blackcoat's daughter is pretty obviously the Blackcoat's daughter. If you want to see a bad movie, see Tusk, I guess.
If you want to see...
Let's see, I wouldn't recommend Tusk as being a good bad movie because there's like the parts that were good were legitimately good, and the parts that were bad were so boring I wouldn't ever want to sit through them again. So,
yeah.
If you want to see a very great, kind of classic feeling, just disturbing, bleak, twisted horror movie, see Blackcoat's Daughter.
Yeah. So for next week...
Yeah, let's pick movies for next week.
We got Laggies, Laggies.
I know nothing about this one.
This one has Pirates of the Caribbean girl.
Keira Knightley?
Yep.
Right, okay.
It's got her. And it's got Chloe Chloe, what's her name? Chloe Grace.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Moretz?
However you pronounce it.
Yeah, got her.
Yeah, I know of her.
So we got those two to look forward to next week.
Okay.
I guess. And then we also have, I've decided the other one for this week, because this is supposed to be like a drama, comedy, whatever. So it should be fairly lighthearted. So I didn't want to pick anything that would be lighthearted to pair with it.
Yeah.
So we're going to pick Room.
Ooh, interesting choice.
I am not looking forward to this one, really.
Because I've actually seen Room.
Have you?
Yeah.
Is it soul-crushing?
Not really.
No?
No, I mean,
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it for you, so I'm not going to say anything.
There's
but
always like a one-sentence description on IMDb.
Oh, yeah. You read, like, Room sounds like a very, very
It does.
soul-crushing movie.
The sentence is, a young boy is raised within the confines of a small shed.
Yeah, that's the...
Which sounds pretty awful. And I've read A Boy Called It, and I don't want to experience that again.
Right, yeah. No, it's a pretty disturbing premise, but it's like, as from what I remember, it's kind of it I don't know if it had a happy ending or not, but it's like it's not as like soul crushing as you'd think.
Okay. Because I remember reading A Boy Called It, and I was lying in my bed reading that and crying just because.
Yeah,
oh, that book
right.
is awful.
Since I've already
Just
seen
awful.
this, I think this is my first. Oh no, it's not my first. One of my first rewatches of the.
See,
of the
I didn't
Quest.
know you'd seen Room.
Yeah, I have seen. Well, I've seen The Room and Room.
Let's not.
So yeah, I'll be interested to rewatch this. You know, the reason why I'll be interested to rewatch this is this, like Enemy, I've seen it before and I wasn't a huge fan of it. Mm-hmm. However, it got so much buzz at the Oscars. Everybody loved it.
All right.
And I was just kind of iffy on it. So I'm excited to watch it again to like reevaluate it, you know?
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm hoping it doesn't wreck me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that other drama comedy with Keira Knightley will hopefully even it out.
Right.
But yeah, I was gonna pick the one with Ben Stiller. I don't remember what it's called right now, but When We Were Young, something.
It's like,
anyway,
while we're young?
But that's
I don't
another drama comedy, and I figured let's not pair those. So we're doing Leggies and Room.
Sweet. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for watching this episode. We're going to get to the actual podcast now, and
Now that this isn't an actual podcast.
right, yeah, but like the full Multimedia Club. By the way, go check that out if you haven't.
Yeah, check out the Multimedia Club podcast.
Yeah. So,
Hope
yeah.
you guys had fun this episode. We sure did half the time.
Yeah, this is definitely better than the first one, I think. The first one was okay, but I really liked talking about this one because
this was good.
the first one was an unfortunate two movies because they're both like a little over okay.
Yeah.
But in this one, we had a pretty great movie and a pretty horrible movie, so it made for good discussion.
Yeah.
It's honestly the Tusk is one of my least favorite.
I think I'm upgrading Blackcoat's Daughter to a solid 7.
Yeah, I think Blackcoat Star is one of my favorite of the series so far, honestly. Yeah. I really, really liked it, and I'm definitely going to rewatch it.
Yeah.
So, hope you enjoy those two movies, at least one of those two movies, if you decide to check them out, and see you guys around.
Bye-bye.
Bye.